It wasn't planned. And then Anna had to sleep over, but she didn't have underwear. And I think the sister's underwear was kind of like given to Yamada. And I'm just really, as a woman, I was like, how can this happen? No, I cannot.
Good day to all of you, fellow nerdy fans. You are tuning in to the Nerdy Fans Podcast, the place for binge watchers and anime nerds that are young at heart. I'm Ray.
And my name is Glee, and welcome to the Nerdy Fans Podcast. Hi, Ray. How have you been?
Hi, Glee, and I'm doing really well. As you can see, it's already March, and we're 3 months into 2024. How time flies. And yep, as we mentioned last time, the anime season's been great. I've been enjoying myself. Some really good Dangerous in My Heart, of course. Delicious in Dungeon. Apothecary Diaries, which I intend to watch the latest episode today because I wasn't able to watch it today, and definitely enjoying my gaming life. That's what I could say. How about you?
Well, I've watched the Apothecary Diaries latest
Ooh.
episode earlier this morning because I'd like to start the weekend, the Sunday, with that kind of vibes. It's a pretty exciting episode. And lately, so yesterday we had elections here in Australia. My first time to vote. I have some thoughts on the process, but I'm not going to bore you too much on that. But how about you, Ray?
And I can talk probably 30 minutes more about that. But my fellow nerdy fans, I am very sure you're not here for voting experience discussions. If you want to, wait for the next episode from the Gleeful Talk Show, all right? And yep, Glee updates that talk show regularly. You're going to have fun there, all right? Now, Glee, we've mentioned in the last episode that we keep following Apothecary Diaries. We keep following our good friends in Dangers in My Heart. What's your experience now with Apothecary Diaries and Dangers in My Heart? How have the new episodes been for you?
Well, for Apothecary Diaries, to me, it's just really impeccable storytelling, right? As we have been
Mhm.
gushing over in the last three episodes of this podcast, but
Yep.
you can really feel and see the the impeccable storytelling in this recent episode of Apothecary Diaries. And in terms of Dangers in My Heart, just because this is the second season, I have to say it has a slightly different vibe than the last season. And if
Mm.
I might have to be nitpicky about
Yep.
it, the last season of Dangers in My Heart is a little much more have that butterflies in the stomach kind
Ah.
of vibes for me. How
Yep.
about you?
Now, I completely agree with you in that sense because it's as if the first season they're really just trying to grow up, naturally grow up. They're You have Kyotaro Ichikawa doing his best to try to come to terms with what he's really feeling. He doesn't even want to acknowledge at times that that is what he was feeling, his love, his growing love for Ana Yamada. Now in season 2, and small spoilers, fellow nerdy fans, he does admit, although not to Yamada, that he does like her. And now it's him in that next phase of growing up on how do I tell the girl that I love that this is how I feel. And he's slowly improving himself, and improving himself not just for Yamada, but to prove to himself that he is growing up and being worthy of Yamada, I should say. So I think it's this natural progression is really something that the fans vibe on, so much so, and I would say this is where it proves that that formula is working, is because recently during the 10th Anime Trending Awards, The Dangers in My Heart wins Best Couple Ship of the Year. So you have Kyotaro Ichikawa and Ana Yamada being acknowledged by the fandom and maybe experts in the fandom that their shipping is actually working and working really well, right? So that's my thoughts on Dangers in My Heart. With Apothecary Diaries, unfortunately, I haven't seen the latest episode. Just a little cheat code there because Skyrim was calling me. Gamers, you know what that means. But I've not changed my thoughts on it. It's an amazing story. It's an amazing Mao Mao's growth and how the story unravels itself. You are just hooked episode per episode and you want to see the next episode, right? So,
Exactly. And you
ex-
feel like that episode that you just watched, it just went on a flash.
yep,
Because that's how you are invested into that episode that
exactly.
like time flies so fast if you're having fun, as they say.
Yep, absolutely. And again, when you look at Mao Mao and her relationship with Jinshi, with Gyokoyo, with Lakan, and how these are intertwining, you just want to know what happens next, even if you already do know. And we've
Yeah.
spoken about it on the last episode about how we love our little spoilers outside of watching anime or even the manga. But again, it's that good that you want to experience it, just not know about it. It's like knowing that Superman will always win against Doomsday. You always know that Batman will always win against Joker. Well, most of the time anyway, but you still want to experience the whole thing. And that I think is how we feel about Apothecary Diary. And in some sense with a lot of the anime that we watch today. Yep.
So, because well, Dangerous in My Heart, right? I have binge watched it because I didn't really watch it the first
Yep.
time it came out. I mean, season two, and I'm curious about your reaction on Kyo's first visit with Anna.
Oh, all right. So his first visit to her house. Slight spoilers here on this question, my fellow nerdy fans. Do you mean the unofficial first visit wherein the parents did not
Unofficial,
know? Okay.
unofficial.
So obviously there are some concerns with regard to young teenagers of the opposite sex or of sexes that attract each other. Either way, we are supportive of you. Visiting unaccompanied by adults into the house, into each other's house. And of course, I'm glad that the anime didn't try to show anything more explicit, but of course, there were some points there where it could have potentially gone a little bit more raunchy. And my thoughts there is that while it's presented as cute, please, if there are any nerdy fans out there that are significantly younger than us, please be responsible. All right. It I know we're probably showing our age by saying that. And I know, look, I also was a teenager. I'm very sure my friends and a lot of family members might have done that in the past. But look, ultimately, it's about responsibility. And when you grow a little older, and I'm speaking to our much younger audience, you'll understand what we mean by that. All right. No judgment, but have a bit of responsibility. Episode is still cute, don't get me wrong. All right. What do you think about it, Glee?
I would have preferred it done differently. I guess maybe this is me speculating. The author wants to put in that mystery, exciting element to it.
Mm,
As we kind of see that Dangerous in My Heart is like kind of like a slow burn type
yep.
of anime. So I think I kind of get why the author showed it that way. I would have preferred that they didn't react that way. But that being said, they are like very young,
Yep.
and they might be like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I'm not ready, blah blah blah. So that's what happened. But I agree with you in the sense that the author didn't really show any explicit thing that happened
Yep.
there, and I guess it's also gonna be out of character for
Yep.
Kyotaro anyway, which I kindly appreciate as well. Like, because as we see in the season, it's really Anna Yamada who is more
Yes.
expressive of her feelings.
Absolutely.
And it wouldn't really be fun if Kyotaro would be also expressive. There's gotta be a balance there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's be honest here, a lot of the reason why we love watching this is because it's yes, sure, Ana Yamada is hot as an anime character, but we're actually looking forward to Kyotaro's reactions, aren't we? That's how he approaches the situations. The comedy and the lightheartedness of it is what a lot of us want to see in terms of his interaction with with Yamada. And yes, it is a breath of fresh air that this is not going to the too regular etchy trope that it could have gone. Again, nothing. Well, no, nothing against etchy. I'm sure it's all there. But at the same time, it's like it's a breath of fresh air because this is probably just young people trying to figure themselves out, which is okay. But again, to reiterate my point, use better judgment and be responsible.
Yes. And Ray, I wanted to
Mm,
also kind of touch on briefly, not to spoil too much to our fellow nerdy fans who haven't watched those episodes, but there have been some, I'd say, or there was a sleepover that happened. And just my thoughts on that sleepover. And I don't know whether this is usually the sleepovers in Japan. I really don't know, but I was really shocked, like about like, because there was a point that because Kyotaro has a sister, an older sister,
yep,
and the sleepover was kind of a sporadic moment,
yep,
like it wasn't planned, and then Anna had to sleep over, but she didn't have underwear, and and I think the sister's underwear was kind of like given to Yamada, and I'm just really, as a woman, as a
yep.
girl, I was like, how can this happen? No, I cannot. So that was my reaction there.
I completely understand. What I do remind myself is that again, this is anime. So maybe there is a huge suspension of disbelief there because look, fellow nerdy fans, it's not just Glee. I don't think any of you would like anyone to share your underwear. That's just the reality of it. And if this was real life, that sleepover would result into both of them probably getting grounded for a year, right? Because,
No, but it was actually initiated by the sister or something like that, right?
yeah, but here's the reality as well. And again, a bit of spoilers, my fellow nerdy fans. Yamada's parents didn't know about that sleepover until after it happened.
Really?
Yes,
Yamada. Yeah. No, no,
Yamada.
no. They called, right?
Nope.
No, Yamada called that she will be
Mm,
sleeping over at this lady's place, that the name of the sister, but they didn't know that it was Ichikawa's sister, I think.
right. I might have missed that, or I might vaguely remember now that you mentioned it. But if you recall, again, a bit of spoilers here. The next episode, it was found out whose house that was and who was there, right? So think about it, my fellow nerdy fans. I know a lot of you are probably parents right now. Some are probably parents of teenagers right now, right? At our age. And if your 15-year-old daughter said she was sleeping at a friend's place, and then you realize that that friend had a brother your age that you know that most likely has a thing for you and for that for your daughter and vice versa, how comfortable are you really going to be when you find out? Trust me, you would be grounding that kid probably again. Maybe a year is exaggerating, but a month or two, probably more, right?
Oh my god,
So,
you're so strict, Ray. Oh my god.
of course I am. That's my daughter. If I had a kid, that's my daughter. And you've been dishonest with me that you were
Well,
in a
I
guy's house.
agree.
See?
I agree.
If that was your kid, Glee, I don't think you'd be laughing like that.
I wouldn't be laughing, but I don't think I could ground the kid for 2 months or something like that. Maybe like, I would be quite upset, but I maybe not that long, I guess, because at least the parents were there. That's just the consolation there. The parents of that sister and the Ichikawa were there.
Right. Did the parents know that
They had
Yamada
a
and
thing.
Ichikawa were downstairs in the couch having their private time? No, I don't think so. So as you can see, fellow nerdy fans, I mean, I'm not the one to diss on somebody else's parenting style, your family, your rules. But as a guy, as an uncle, and if I'm gonna add speculation there, if I was a dad to my baby girl, then you being very dishonest with me and being in that situation means your phone is locked out of you for the next 2 to 3 months. And you better get good grades or you're not seeing it for another 3 months after that. I'm just like that. So don't take it in a wrong way. But for those who are listening who are dads, you will be lying to me if you said you wouldn't feel the same way and you wouldn't give the same consequences.
But so would you prefer that she tells you the first hand? Because what if you, I would assume you wouldn't permit it anyway.
Put it this way, if the girl says, I'm here, guys here, parents here, please don't worry, my next line would be, doesn't matter, come home. That's me. Sorry,
Okay.
fellow nerdy fans, but I'm fairly liberal in a lot of social issues. But my daughter would still be my daughter's responsibility. And even if the parents were there, even if those parents were conservative in that kind of social setting, I can't control what the kids do when nobody's looking.
But you can't
Acc-
control what your kids do anyway.
and accidents could happen. Of course, explaining to the kid why not is important. That's probably what I would do, but it doesn't change the fact that she's not sleeping there. She comes
Okay.
home. And I would also remind her how expensive bills for diapers and milk could be and milk bottles could be. That's just my take on the subject. Again, if that could change maybe if I had a wife and she'd knock my head off and say let my daughter have fun. I probably wouldn't be married to the girl if she said that. But again, thankfully a lot of that is speculation because I have no intentions to ever be a father. All right?
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for that insights, Ray. It's quite interesting to hear that insight. Of course, this is just theoretical, and maybe I would have a much worse reaction than you.
Mm.
So we will see.
Yep. And please do not grill your husband about this question, all right? Pity him. Let him have fun with
He's
Baldur's Gate.
a much more stricter parent. I
Pardon?
think I would be, yeah, I
Oh.
think I would be the much more stricter one. And
Oh.
he, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I'm not yet there, but we
Yep.
will see soon.
Yep.
Anyway, Ray, another thing that I'm curious about is what do you think over the stalker slash super fan of Yamada or any concerns
Mm.
around that topic?
Right. So here's the thing. I've never been one who's been a super fan. So I can't really understand that kind of mindset. But from the outside looking in, that kind of mindset and that kind of lifestyle, because I do, even if I'm not one, I've read about it, can be damaging and downright questionable mentally speaking. And I fear not just for that fan, I fear for the subject of that super fan's affection, because that can lead to criminal activity. And sorry, my fellow nerdy fans, but just to be a little serious around here, I actually recall an article. I can no longer remember the Japanese star who was stalked by I would say, a genius level stalker, wherein the guy actually found out where she lived by just looking at the woman's photo, maximizing the image to focus on her eyes, saw the reflection on her eyes, and here's where it gets really crazy. Used that reflection to see where her surroundings might be, used, I think, the map or some technology to find out exactly where it is, and went there. And there's no other way to say it. That man is crazy. And super fans like those that want to go in there and, you know, not just disrupt life, but feel like they're entitled to their idol is really bordering, and if not an outright criminal activity. Or, mental health wise, it can be problematic as well. I recall, Glee, and again, sorry if we're diverting a little bit on that based on the topic. I also recall years ago when Justin Bieber was more or less new or at slightly at the height of his fame. There were fans who were so furious that he didn't win, I think, best artist in on MTV or something, that some threatened to end their lives because of it. And
Oh my
yep,
God.
see, these kinds of super fans, these kinds of mindset, and is really something that might seem funny in anime, like in the case of Yamada, of Dangers in My Heart. It had its funny moment, it has the whole artistry and how it's being presented, but translating that to real life is pretty much something that's criminal and something that I am thoroughly against. I don't know, Glee. On your end, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, of course, I share the same sentiment. And good thing that in the anime, it wasn't really dangerous, but I was really concerned
Yep,
with that. Even like if I have lived in the world, that
yep,
anime world, because it was such a stalker, really. Like
yep,
you would be, and Yamada seems to be oblivious of it as well.
yep,
And so that was quite concerning. But because this is like kind of like a slice of life,
yep,
light-hearted anime, it didn't veer into that direction. But it's quite dangerous to like these stalker super fans. And I know that a lot of K-pop idols
yep,
have these. And in a sense, when they give like a stuffed toy to the idol and then they implant a hidden camera
yep.
on the stuffed toy. And I think
Mm.
there was an anime as well. I forgot which anime it was, but there was an anime that had that similar.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Sorry, just to cut on that anime I believe was Oshinoko. It is a story about idols, and in fact, the mother of the main characters was actually murdered by one of these super fans. So while I haven't watched that show, I'm just familiar with Oshinoko. My understanding of that show is that it's actually a big slap on the face of the Japanese idol industry because it tries to expose what it's really all about. In fact, its opening song, which I think won Best Opening Song in the Anime Trending Awards as well, if you read the translation, it's very much telling you what the idol industry, the dark side of the idol industry is in Japan, you know? So, again, these whole super fans kind of thought they're just not creepy. They're outright dangerous. Funny enough, because we're also discussing dangers in my heart, but completely different thing. Am I right? So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
but
just
it's good that it kind of touched a little bit that the anime, because Ana Yamada is a little like a starlet or a
yep.
celebrity there.
Yes,
And
yes,
although of course it's kind of like taken it in a light-hearted manner, but yeah, that was quite interesting to see that they touched on that topic. There was really an anime, Ray, that was like that I just recently saw. Not even Oshinoko, because there was,
oh,
I haven't watched the Oshinoko. I don't know if I find it, I might flash it on the
yeah,
screen
yeah,
later. But yeah, it was really, yeah, it's really scary. These super stalkers, and
yep.
I really hope they get help like from people around them.
I do hope so too. But again, I don't know. Maybe it's culture as well that allows these kinds of things to happen. But I'll be honest, this might actually be a better topic for Gleeful Talk Show. But
Yeah.
truthfully, look, as far as Anna Yamada is concerned, and as far as Dangerous in My Heart is concerned, we know it's anime. We know that it was done or presented in such a light-hearted, if not comedic manner. And I suppose for presentation's sake, there is an okayness to it, just the same way it has an okayness to it with Yamada sleeping in Ichikawa's house for a night, despite the fact that it's not something that you should have two people clearly in love with each other do when they're 15. Yep. So that's my pseudo parent phase right there. So Glee, any last thoughts on those things?
Yeah, to wrap that up in terms of the stalker thing, I guess I was quite relieved that it was not really a guy, even.
Mm.
It's much more dangerous, I feel. But anyway, well,
Yeah.
stalker girls are also quite dangerous. But
Yep.
I guess there's a little bit in terms of the force, like when
Yep.
they approach the physical force, I mean. But anyway, one more thing before we move on to another show. Ray, do you think Kyotaro will confess this season?
How about I know it's probably a cop out, but I want him to, I would say. Because I want season 3 to focus on their growing up in a relationship. I doubt it would happen. I'll be honest. If I'm gonna give my honest answer, I doubt, because both you and I know that slice of life anime like this kind of like to stretch things out, you know. But at the same time, if I can have my way, I want him to confess, so that part 3 will help show us how they grow up in a relationship. All right. What about you?
Similar, like I want him to confess in a sense that I don't want it to drag too much.
Yep.
It's a different take on yours, but in terms of like the reasoning why I want Kyotaro to confess, but because in the end, I don't want Yamada to confess. I want Kyotaro to confess, rather, you know?
Ah, here's the thing though. I feel that it's Kyotaro who's going to confess,
Oh,
not
really?
Yamada, because if you notice the episodes, it's a lot of it is Kyotaro growing up, coming to terms with himself, accepting fully that he likes Yamada. Very different from Yamada, who can easily accept her feelings that she likes Kyotaro. So to see or to have Kyotaro actually do the confession, and again, I could be wrong. Maybe Yamada has already done the confession, but to see Kyotaro do the confession, I think would round up his growth, would finally show how far he's gone in a successful way. And that's why I think that should be the case, right?
You mentioned about that Kyotaro, much more on Kyotaro's growth. Can you pinpoint maybe areas or aspects of Yamada that have grown this season?
Hmm. Let's see. To be honest, maybe I suppose the biggest growth for Yamada is her being able to verbalize, at least to her mother. Forgive me for the spoilers, fellow nerdy fans, but yes, she was able to verbalize to her mother that she likes Kyotaro. Now, you might think that's just a cop out, Ray. That's probably predictable. Sure, but I want you to understand again how much Yamada respects, and in a sense, have a fearful respect for her mother. That revealing something as major as this to a relatively strict mother is pretty big. To her to be able to, it's not just about her Yamada loving her mother. It's more of, I know that you might not like this mom, or there's a chance you might not like this mom, but but damn it, I'm going to be honest anyway, so that I can tell you outright that this is the guy that I like, right? Again, this is right after she just stayed in the house of the guy she likes. As a parent, there might have already been a lot of things coming on in my mind, and then you drop this bombshell on me. Funny enough, and again, if I'm going to veer back to me being a pseudo parent, I would probably still be shocked, be concerned, but I would appreciate that honesty. And for me, it does show that you are growing up, but I still would like you to grow up properly.
Well said, well said. So
Yep.
thanks, Ray, for the thoughts. And let's move on to Avatar. If or you want to
Yes.
go with House of Ninja first.
Nah, I'm actually curious because again, I noted earlier that Avatar seems to be giving me mixed messages. Unlike One Piece, right? One Piece Netflix adaptation where the fandom was all over it. They loved it. And, people talked about it so much so that those who were not initial fans like me gave it a shot. Now here's Avatar The Last Airbender, also a beloved Nickelodeon cartoon. Beloved. So much so that we have Legend of Korra, and if the rumor mills are correct, then we're gonna have a new Avatar as well. Again, I'm not sure, but again, this franchise is amazing. Helped define Nickelodeon, I believe, in the early 2000s, and I hear nothing from the fans or barely anything. Some have complained, some are saying meh, and that's why I'm on the fence about actually watching this. But you mentioned, Glee, that you've actually seen this show. What can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so I've also didn't hop on the bandwagon if there was any when it first came out, just because first I didn't really follow Avatar the cartoons. I've watched it before, but I wasn't able to follow it thoroughly, so I wasn't a massive fan. And the trailer looked good, But then so I
Mm-hmm.
watched it, and again, because I wasn't a fan, I didn't have any like initial expectations around it.
Mm. Okay.
So I just like went, go with the flow. And but first episode, I have to say, for a show or a series, the effects were quite okay. It's not like a low budget special effects.
Yep.
So that was fine. I think that it's more of the acting
Ah.
of the actors or the characters that they that's just me. Again, if you want to, I guess, maybe compare it with what you mentioned, One Piece, you can feel the actors passion
Mm.
towards their characters. Hence, it portrays on the screen and
Yep.
to the
Yep.
audience, right? But this one, I didn't feel it that way. So, and there were like awkward acting, I think. I mean,
Ooh.
we are just like critics and reviewers, right? We are
Yep.
not really super criticizing it, just, on the onset, what I felt watching it as part of the audience. So that's one. And I know that one of the characters, they try to make him funny. He's not really funny, not as effective,
Oh.
but it's not also like corny, but not as effective. And then with the storytelling, it's fine, but not something that, when you finish the episode, you want to know more. So even like in an episode, I kind of cut it into bite pieces as well. I guess it doesn't retain my attention that much.
Okay.
So that's just my thoughts on it. It's not that it's bad, it's not great either.
Okay, I get you. So, how about this as a question? You have those thoughts right now as somebody who didn't really follow Avatar. I love that cartoon. I followed it. Book 1 to book 3. I love those episodes. To be fair, probably not as religiously as some did because still that was the era before, things became convenient to grab episodes on a go. But I love the anime. Each character was wonderfully developed. For a fan like me, do you think the Netflix adaptation does justice? Or was it just a paycheck for the actors?
I think for a fan like you, I feel it's something that you might not finish. I don't know. Like
Um, hmm.
it's not that you will like it, but you watch it for the sake.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And again, maybe I would have, you would have different thoughts than me. Maybe you will like it. I don't know. But it's to me, it's really I guess, chemistry. I
Mm,
don't know, the chemistry and the acting. Maybe they needed more workshop. I don't know. But they were fine. I don't know. There's just something missing. And I
oh,
guess maybe, well, most of them are also like the main characters. I think they are new, but the Netflix one were the One Piece they were also new as well.
yep.
So it's really difficult to pinpoint whether it's the caliber or maybe I don't know. It's just the casting, but yeah, it's not really that bad. And so far, the costumes were okay actually. Special effects just okay as well, not super like low budget looking. The Yeah, it's I don't know, something's missing. I think that's the only
Okay.
thing I can say.
Well, my fellow nerdy fans, you know what that means. It's time to put that show to our 2 episode test.
Yeah.
Yay! And if it doesn't survive my two episode test, I am ignoring it. And you don't have to take it from me in Glee, but you might want to ignore it too. All right? And of course, Glee, if we're gonna move away from our Airbender friend, we mentioned earlier about House of Ninjas, which is a new show in Netflix, 8 episodes long. This show is about a family of ninjas that are officially retired, or should I say, want to be officially retired, but say things happened and later it's revealed that not everybody is happy with that decision. So Glee, let's start with you. What are your overall thoughts about this show? And you mentioned to me earlier off screen that you have quite a few thoughts.
I, when I saw I think it started January, I think, this show, because when the year first started, it's like, oh, House of Ninja. And I was pleasantly surprised that it's Japanese.
Mm,
Like it's not Western or anything. So it's like, oh, this might be legit. So it was quite promising at first. I mean, it's fine to me. Like I like the concept.
yep,
It's like a modern day age ninja, and then there's kind of like a clan
yep,
clash.
yep.
So very promising storyline. And I guess for me, it's more of it's a bit it's dragging too much. And that's why even now it's already March, I haven't finished it.
Mm, and
And you know me, I'm a huge binge watcher,
yep,
so it tells a lot if there's a series that I'm dragging on.
yep. Completely understand from your perspective. But for somebody like me who loves his ninjas, who loves to see all those fighting scenes and whatnot, of course I finished House of Ninjas. But I actually do agree with you that at times it does drag, you know? And maybe it's also just me that it's like this could be rushed. Come on. Skip skip this part. And again, slight bias here cuz and slight spoilers. There are some romance elements in this show and quite a bit of it I wanted rushed. I was like, can we just move on from that now? It's like we can move forward or we can do this faster. Okay? But overall, I love the premise of the show. I'd give it probably a 6.5 to 7 out of 10, and I want to see season 2. Also, if you're a huge ninja fan, I'm not saying I know everything about it, but you'll hear names like the house, or the Hattori clan and the Fuma clan. And if you're a fan of ninjas, you are vaguely familiar with those names and you'd want to know more. And another thing another thing that I also appreciate is that this show might be slightly rooted in some real life aspects of what we know about the ninjas. Because a bit of spoiler again, ninjas here are not allowed to eat meat because it hides their scent or whatnot. In the vague recesses of my memories, I know I've seen a documentary where they do speak about how ninjas were trained before and their diet, particularly I think eating spicy or meaty food, they really were banned because it does affect their scent. And probably other ninjas won't be able to smell it in a mystical sense. But here's the deal. For them, if you exude that scent and somebody catches a whiff of it, then, you'll get caught. And ninjas are not supposed to get caught, right? They don't have the superpowers or anything. They're supposed to be spies, infiltrators, and whatnot. And you're supposed to mask your presence. And just a bit of a factoid on how cool and I suppose intriguing ninjas could be when you match that aspect of their lives to what they could do, and you can see how amazing that situation is. There was even, they call him the last ninja. He's still alive in Japan. He can actually hear a pin drop from another room. So you mix that with stories like this wherein they hide their scent, and there's a grain of truth there. And that's what I found intriguing about this. And their house, my God, amazing ninja house, looks shabby. But again, the stories of how ninja houses are, that's how it is. A lot of hidden traps and whatnot. So that's my take on it. That's why I want season 2. That's why I want to learn more. And I know there might be a few extremes here and there. That's what I that's actually what I want to know a bit more about how their allegiances will eventually play out. Any further thoughts on that, Glee?
Yes, I feel like they should have just shortened an episode to like
Mm,
a 40-minute episode. So,
mm,
or like that, because I think it's a 1 hour episode every
yep,
time, and it kind of like stretches it out. And like, again, there was like why do they need to show this? And I also don't like the lady character there, the one, the love interest of the guy. Like,
Mm.
it's a little, I got annoyed. Like last night I watched, I don't know, it was episode 5 or something, and they went, this is a little bit not super spoiler, but if you watch the show Fellow Nerdy fans, you will encounter this anyway. They went to that cult thingy, and
Yep.
then where I forgot the name of the guy, but, and I don't want to talk more about that cult
Yep.
leader, but they went there. So the guy said that I will go there so that I will get that thing. And then the girl say, I will come. And then the guy say no, because it's dangerous. And then, oh, just protect me. I mean, come on, you are such a liability.
Yep. Yep.
It's like,
So you get scenes like that, fellow nerdy fans, that make you question human common sense. But then again, for us nerdy fans who probably studied or had listened to our English teachers, they call it again the suspension of disbelief. And yes, it is very much a suspension of disbelief because I suppose they were just trying to give a story. I do agree with Glee that these episodes are just way too long, you know, truth be told. But sometimes when you have to make a story, a good story, in fact, you have to make a few you have to make a few creative decisions that might not always make sense. This is actually one of those because in real life, I'm pretty sure if a ninja tells you or somebody you expect a ninja would
but
tell
she
you,
doesn't know that he's a ninja, right?
but she knows that he's someone that's more than just a regular
Capable.
human being.
Yeah,
Let's be
yeah.
honest here. And when they tell you don't get involved, you don't get involved because you only have one life.
Hmm.
And that's how I feel about it. And remember, they were entering a cult's headquarters. And and look, fellow nerdy fans, I'm not trying to put a blanket description on cults and to each his own faith. But both you and I know there have been dangerous cults throughout history. And if one of these is suspected to have that danger, and you're infiltrating that place for a reason other than to join them, you best leave it to the experts. And when an expert actually says no, let's admit it. We would say no as well, and we'd back off, right?
And the thing is that she's helpless. Like, I would understand someone like,
Yep.
maybe like it's Naruto and Sakura, who Sakura is not completely helpless,
Yep.
but like a completely helpless woman,
Yep.
I mean, like, really. But anyway, so that kind of like, that's like another annoyance, and then it's too long, and it beats around the bush in a sense.
It
And I
does.
would say that if this would have been an anime, why animes have much more better pacing. And why? Because it's a 20-minute
Yep.
episode.
Yep. I was going to say that. It's like, yep, absolutely. And I'll be honest, my fellow nerdy fans, the episodes do tend to be too long. And I suppose the reason why I survived it is because it's only 8 episodes. So, not too much. Well, the commitment is not as much as some shows out there. I can no longer remember the K horror story about an exorcist priest, but I quit on it because it had more than probably 12 or so episodes, and each episode was just an hour long. I was like, I don't have the patience for that. And thank God House of Ninja is just like this. And there are some fun factors about it, good action scenes. So that's probably why I survived it. And look, there's the show itself, and not to spoil too much, makes you do wonder whether at the end of the day you follow duty unquestioningly or you prioritize your freedom. And not just your freedom, you prioritize your morals. See, this is a kind of questions that this show could also make you ask on a deeper sense, which is why I still like it, and which is why I'm still looking forward to season 2. Plus, of
Are
course,
they
all the ninja
hinting?
battle scene.
Are they hinting for season 2?
I haven't heard of any hints on season 2, but I want one because bit of spoiler, my fellow nerdy fans. Naturally, episode ended with a lot of things unresolved, and it does seem to lead towards a need for a season 2. That's my
Uh,
thought on it. Any final thoughts on that,
mhm.
Glee?
Well, I have to see whether I will arrive in episode 8. Maybe I will arrive in episode 8 3 months later, Ray. So we will see. But to segue just a little bit, I didn't mention this to you in our chat pre recording,
Yep.
but speaking of ninjas, let's speak a little about samurai. So there is a live action, or it is a series. There's no anime on this, but it's a real people drama
Yep.
series called Shogun.
Shogun. Yep.
I don't know if you've watched it, Ray, but I wanted to talk about this and maybe get the word out there. I know that a lot of people watched it already, but maybe our fellow anime nerds are not yet into it. But I
Yep.
have to say, you should watch it.
Yep.
And this is like a very different presentation with the House of Ninja. It's like a 1 hour episode long show, but you want more on that
Mm.
episode.
Okay.
So that's how good it is. And the thing is, so just to give you a brief background on it, there was a show in the 80s called Shogun as well, and it's based on a book, and it's about 1600s Japan, where there were samurais and lords, and there was a shakeup a little bit in that political scene. And here comes a Westerner who arrives in Japan. And at that point, there were Portuguese in Japan already
Mm.
having some relationships with the lords as well. But the main Westerner guy, is a English Protestant, and the Portuguese in this one are Catholics, which are, in history in the Philippines, the
Yep.
Portuguese also went there and spread Catholicism. So, so yeah, that's the premise of the show. I mean, not only this one, but a lot of aspects of the show kind of sets it apart from all other shows, is that they really paid great attention to detail
Yep.
in terms of the relevance, like the history around it, like even the costumes,
Mm.
even the mannerisms of at that point, how the women walk. They have like master of gestures, master of blah blah blah, so that they can really portray the real Japanese culture, not like the westernized version of
Yep.
Japanese culture, like the Last Samurai, let's say.
Yep.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong, Last Samurai was one of my favorite
Mm.
movies, and I watched it like more than 4 times in the movies.
Ooh,
But
wow.
then, yeah, I came back in, not even in one go, like I really paid,
Yep.
4 times to watch it. But this one, it's one of the big stars here. The Japanese star is Hiroyuki
Sanada.
Sawada. Yeah,
Sanada. Yep.
Asanada, which is like also he's a producer as well.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that explains how he wanted to really
Yep.
portray a proper Japanese culture
Yes.
to the world, and he even insisted on using Japanese threads and silk or whatever clothing, everything made in Japan, so that they can, portray the Japanese artistry. Although their master of costumes is someone Western, but there's a lot of collaboration between the Western and the Japanese crew, which I really appreciate. So,
Yep.
and it really shows, especially as an audience member, to me, the love and the passion towards how creating this show. So yeah, it's really good. You should watch it.
I should give it a try. And yes, while I have not watched the show, because if I'm not mistaken, was it on Disney or?
It's on Disney and Hulu, and I don't know
Yep.
FX, but Disney has it.
Yep. I'll find a way to watch it. But that aside, I am aware that Hiroyuki Sanada is one of the producers, not just the actor. And yep, it was actually on a news article wherein he insisted that if we are going to do this show, I want it accurate. So the actors have to be Japanese if the characters are Japanese. And yeah, all that historical accuracy, he insisted on it. Because let's be honest here, my fellow nerdy fans, we always get pissed off when we have a good show from whichever country and it's greatly westernized, or let's just say it's Hollywood Americanized, and a lot of what would have made it authentic and great has been watered down into something that is so far away from its original, just to and made to just appease to a Western audience who are actually starting to learn to appreciate Eastern authenticity now. So it's good to hear that it's doing well. Again, in contrast to The Last Airbender, I actually hear people say that it's a good show. So that's something that I'm definitely keen to watch, right? And from my understanding, of course, it's not as fantastical as House of Ninjas, but still, at this point with shows like that, it's not about the fantastical, it's about the beauty of history. And that's why I think it's something that we need to watch on.
To add on that, Ray, because what Hiroyuki said is he wanted to portray a realistic samurai
Mm.
fighting, because in that olden days there's not a lot of movement.
Nope.
You just kill. The
Yep.
lesser movement is the better, because
Yep.
that's how you kill. And then this one is also more on political strategy, which is quite interesting.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's why, yeah, it's more on that. And there's of course there's a little bit, or I guess 25%, 20% romance. As I like that the romance aspect is in a way portrayed by like a strong woman here as well.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yep. And again, it's factors like that actually a lot of us nerdy fans want to see in our shows. The authenticity, the fun. Yes, maybe there are some exaggeration there, but we've grown to want to have that slight realism in there, that delicate balance between the fantastical and the real, right? So of course we know that a good fight scene would probably require a bit more flashy moves, but then when you have shows like this, like Shogun or whatnot, you'd want that realism, that real samurai, so to speak. And if I'm just going to segue slightly a bit on that, I believe that's the case for the guy who Kenshin Himura was based off. He was known to be so fast that he killed his opponent so quickly that they wouldn't know it. No flashy moves, no drawn out fights. One slash, one kill. I think those were the rules of that time. And even if you're going to go into Europe and whatnot, wars were like that. You get to your opponent, hit them once, move on to the next, if you could manage it, right? So I think that's something that the show would be something definitely I'd want to watch, and I would also invite others to watch. All right.
All right. So, yes, Ray, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for our fellow nerdy fans who listened to this episode. And don't forget that this episode is available both on audio version on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and the video version on YouTube. And Ray, will you please invite our fellow nerdy fans to follow us on our socials?
Yep. So, fellow nerdy fans, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Spotify and YouTube and all those other beautiful social media that Glee has mentioned. We are happy to engage with you. Do keep it professional. If you have some strong opinions, we're happy to hear them. But please do try to reflect what you want to be idealized in life and not just hide behind the anonymity of social media and use words you wouldn't use with your own child. All right? So there we go. Once again, my fellow nerdy fans, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ray.
And I'm Glee, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.